Morning, everybody. We're coming up on Thursday, the 4th of October, and interested in that storm that's kind of been moving through the upper Midwest, the one heralding the arrival of the very, very chilly air. And we're seeing some light snow on radar this morning across North Dakota, back into this part of the storm. But even in here, there's just all this other kinds of very fine scale texture that is not really natural, not at all. We come up into here in Ontario. We have our holes, and we have in this particular one we have a small one here, and then between it we have a straight line. And we'll find this. This is a rather small scale example of this feature. Here's another set of holes, and then we have another kind of cloud pattern on the other side of them, or connecting the two is probably the better way to put it. But we'll see this feature very, very frequently once we begin to look at this. Here's the very cold conditions back up into the Dakotas. Come on in, and we'll see all the holes within all of the rippling. It's just the amount of rippling in here is just stunning. How much of the weather has been, forced to conform to the waves that have been introduced into the atmosphere. All this rippling appears in central Saskatchewan, and then all of these literally punch out holes, and they're just bloody perfect. It's crazy how perfect that this has become. All right, here's the snows in the composite winter mosaic. You see the light snows from the Dakotas, a little heavier rains. All of this water is welcome. The frost, maybe not so much, but certainly the water is welcome, just with nearly the entirety of the country suffering from some kind of dry spell. And then a few thunderheads popping out across Nebraska. And then looking out west, in the water vapor imagery, not nearly the trails that we saw yesterday. All of that debris is now flowing overhead and is outside now, and I'll look at that shortly or next. And then you can still see some of the trails being flown across Central California, across the Sierra, and then I'm certain that there's quite a few up here in the northern Gulf of Alaska, but we'll confine this to a little discussion to this. But I'll step outside, and I'm about here. And so we'll see the trails that have taken place over the last couple of days and what it looks outside now, with all of that debris rolling across the head, and enough to give me a stuffy nose. Got one plane departing towards the northwest that I can hear, but I haven't been able to see. There's our moon. And then see the trail here ticked into this debris. But all of this cloud cover, all of this is just debris. Probably a southwest flight headed right through this little feature here. Went through inside this hole and went right through the next hole. Perfectly he went through. These two features is what they're after. Usually once they hit these, then they can often bend their way and off to another target. So he's already started to turn. So this is what was his destination, and now he's going to angle off into this spot and then continue to connect the geometry that's happening here. It wasn't a serious marking trail. He did leave one of those towards the northwest or northeast, but I've got a tree here. I'll see if I can head out into the street. See what his other targets were. All right, back over the mountains. This was his trail. Notice when he crosses this other one, how we have this pinch. We have this spot right there. And how the whole trail comes from here. It's drifting out to the left, hits here, then it kind of like rolls back over, hits this other point, and then it remains or becomes almost neutral. And then the sticking part of the trail ends here. Leaves a gap. You think he's just a regular contrail, just a regular contrail, until he hits this little burst. And he goes through this one. So he's just seeding. If these are selves, then this is an elemental energy of the earth. This is a natural energy, and they're honestly going right through them. They're contaminating them. If they're harp bursts, if they're a scalar signature of some other energy, then they're doing the same thing. They're marking the precise spots of these little cirrus cloud explosions. They want to know what they're doing. But over here, the pattern was different. He wanted to see how this little zone here was being folded over. Literally just the trail was like this and just rolled over. And notice that this segment is at approximate equal length to this part. So, already we can tell this is going to be a day. We've had a couple of quiet days. Had about 6-7 quiet days. Had people over last night. Still haven't been able to render yesterday's movie. I've got to get that done and going, since it takes the computer next to forever to get it accomplished. So, that was just one jet. All the rest of this is that stuff that's been flown out over the Pacific and over California, Arizona, Utah, Nevada over the last couple of days. And now it's here. Now it's here. You can kind of see some haze. Haze in the sky as well. Our transparency will get progressively worse over the next couple of days. Alright. There's a few trails out here today. You can see them running this way. This one is the one that runs across these, obviously. But notice right here. This come out, it gets baggy, comes up right at the point where this trail crosses. This trail here also has an extent here, how it's flared off to the upper right and then towards the lower left here. And then we have this intersection. And this is where this trail extends the farthest towards the upper left. Actually, this back edge even gets flat before this whole distortion on this one comes out towards the lower left on this side. So this trail was an important part of crossing all these, and there's your primary point. And we're just all these clouds and debris from the trails of the last several days across the Pacific and into the American Southwest. And we're probably going to be under it for several days. Several days. About 11 o'clock in the morning, 4 October. Look at this cross. Right over that cloud. Look at that. It's crazy. So I just showed you that little cross over the mountains. And where that cross happened, a deck of clouds began to form at a little lower altitude. I was able to get home, just spent nearly an hour on the phone with somebody. I come outside and the planes are still flying. But what's more interesting, well, this one I just showed you, Just went right through this guy. You can hear the wind. The wind has really picked up. Went through this guy. And then we have the stripes of the trails continuing off to the north. Let's get free of these trees here, and you can see another trail up there. And you can see all the clouds that now come together. So that little X off here was the initiation of these clouds. We still have that storm coming in from the Pacific. It is days away, but the moisture is arriving. That cold air pulse that dropped down from Canada that we've been watching for the last 3 days. Now we're seeing snow on the ground in northern Minnesota, eastern North Dakota, just like I thought we would. And this is our moisture now arriving from the Pacific. Notice this point. We have a little wedge come out of it, a little triangle wedge. This is going to be a disc. We'll probably end up with some crude form of lenticular taking shape. Notice this trail here. Now the top part of this guy, how the trail begins to, after it goes through this dark zone, begins to lift up. The trail, the powders are lifted up instead of drooping or weeping down. The powders are in an updraft. So often the powders are in the downdraft, and they're dripping out of the trail. This time they're being lifted above the trail. This trail persists at that mark through the cloud. There's our sun. Iris down a touch. So, get out of the road. Look at all these back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. What I find fascinating are these boils. This stuff here. And that's not really, well, as many times as I've seen it more destructive in cloud formation than enhancing cloud formation. It tends to, in my opinion and my experience in seeing it, is that it has been destructive in the persistence of clouds. Once that shows up, it's like, oh crap, they're going to fall apart, they're not going to last. So this is not a pattern you want to see when you'd like to see clouds forming. It's been a destructive pattern. I kind of caught a glimpse of this trail right here out of the kitchen window about 5 minutes ago. And at that point in time, it was folded over another trail. It was folded over this one. The one had come over it. But it was at the tip of this cloud. Right in through there. In fact, it's now taking shape farther back in here. But it was right there. And now the trail, this one here, is now kind of riding up this trail. You can see then one ends here. Write it down in here. So they're just aligning this wave. Now I'm hearing another jet overhead, but I've got a lot of clouds now. A lot of clouds to come together. I've been looking overhead. It's not likely I'm going to see it as we've clouded up. The mountains are in clouds. It's not lenticular. We're just getting cumulus coming together. But I can hear the plane. But I'm certainly not gonna. It's gonna be a challenge to see in this mess. But anyway, I came out here to look at these trails and how they're coming together and working this particular cloud here. And how you had two coming together to that point. Another one up here. How it's folded over. We've got a little bend in here. There's turbulence on the edge of it. And the rest of it crosses in front of the sun. All this debris. Thousands of miles out into the Pacific. now rolling overhead in combination to the fresh ones that they're laying down now. But there's the break. It's been relatively steady here, and then it goes something is pushing it this way, or this one this way. A combination of the two. This rippling here kind of caught my attention. And then as I applied the zoom, I was able to see that we have a chemtrail. Went right through here. This is the debris of a trail. And notice how it's on top of these little waves. Little waves, and this is what so often happens, is you end up with a chemtrail on top of waves. And this is a very small form. We have a cutout or a void, and then the same size is here. It's like minus, plus. You'll see this phenomena everywhere if you choose to only look. I don't have a whole lot of light left, and it's dinner time, so I don't know if I'm going to get outside again. So, kind of ended up with a lot of clouds overhead. A few Virgo showers, you'll see those on time-lapse. I do start with some time-lapse with the chemtrails over the valley floor. And then we trend off to the mountain, have a look at the clouds building over the mountains. Then back over the valley, across. Here's our T. And we have a curl in here. And that's as the Orgone accumulates. The bottoms of the clouds hold stationary, and the moisture rolls across it. You'll see that in the time-lapse. Now we can hear a jet. And that's not this one here that I'm seeing. That's not this one. There's another one. So often they come in pairs. They come in pairs. They always work together. It's hard to set off an angle with just one line. You need two lines. 3 lines to make a triangle. 2 lines to create an edge or a boundary of some kind. You need to have multiple planes. I was just hoping to catch this as it appeared from the cloud. See what kind of plane we got going on here. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to make it out. In any case, there was something. He had to run this trail through some alignment with the movement of the clouds, is my particular guess in this scenario. Alright everybody, keep looking up. But another round of trailing off the coast of California as another plume of tropical moisture begins to work inland. You can see the trails begin to take shape, line after line, and they're even cutting some of them off at the bottom there. I'm here in Colorado, and underneath some of this streaking high clouds, or actually mid and some lowish clouds, those we saw the time-lapse today. And then the snows now departing the Dakotas and Minnesota, as it was terribly chilly up in there. Let's head off to that imagery. Let's look at the surface map. There's the center of the low, as it was at late afternoon, with temperatures 60s and 70s out ahead of it, and then behind it 45, 32 with some light snow, 34 outside of Fargo, Grand Forks, 39 light rain. So this absolutely ushering in some of the coolest weather of the season, and likely going to drive some frost down into northern Nebraska later on the morning of the 5th. Satellite imagery. Here we are in the Dakotas once again. And if we come up here, we can see all of this opening. Now, typically, I would expect this to be clouded over. And you can see how the waves have chewed away at this deck of low clouds, which should bring them some at least some snow showers. And all of the holes, all of this texture has literally chewed away at the clouds. So they've cleared off when they probably shouldn't have. And the scale of this is on the order of hundreds of miles. And then all the holes, you can see them through Montana, there and there. It's just covering the whole state. And my time-lapse camera set up here. And so much of the afternoon on the imagery, you'll be able to see this band of clouds coming at us. And then through the morning hours, all of the chemtrails that have been abundant across Colorado. And then they continue on through the southwestern states. And they're going to be there for a while. So that's kind of what's happening here. We'll get this dumped into the computer and rendered off. Look at these holes. Look at all this. And then the change in wavelength with the holes running right down the middle. It's crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. You're not going to get this kind of resolution showing up on the TV news. They're just not going to show you the little stuff. And it's the little stuff that makes the weather. It's the little stuff that makes the weather. So right, everybody, keep looking up.